Hi, good evening, everybody. I'd just like to say thank you for participating this evening and taking the time out to listen to us. My name's John Moynes from PSS International Removals. And if I may just start off by just talking a little bit about ourselves. PSS is a family-run business and has been trading now for over 32 years. And all we do is specialize in international removals. And I would say at least 60% of all our consignments head down south to Australia. One thing I need to bring to everybody's attention, though, when choosing your preferred shipper, is ensuring that they have the correct accreditations. Give you an idea, making sure that every company that you are dealing with is BAR registered overseas. You'll notice on the middle icon, the bottom part there, which says payment, advance payment guaranteed. What that covers you is that because you're paying for the shipment up front and something happened to that company, at least you know that another company will take responsibility for shipping your effects abroad. So ensure that they do have the correct accreditations. Certainly now during these economic times, housing sale, a lot of domestic removers have now dipped their toes into the international market. So making sure that you choose an accredited company is very important. What we always recommend to all our clients is at least 6 months before you actually leave the UK is get hold of us. A lot of clients tend to leave their removals to the very last thing. We still get phone calls every day. Could you please pick up our gear next week? We would recommend contact us at least 6 months. We can then plan, budget. You spend your whole life collecting items over the years, and it's frustrating that clients leave it till the very last minute when looking at analysing what you want to take, what you're allowed to take, and us offering us that free home survey where we spend a good hour with you. We're pretty nosy. We open all the cupboards, look at the type of items you're sending, but also just as important is looking at the access to the property. Are we able to get a container down the road? Do we need to get parking suspension? But also just as important is what are the processes when sending effects through to Australia? What are the rules and regulations? And one of the most important things to take into account is that you do a lot of preparation beforehand. As probably all fully aware, and I'm sure a lot of you watch Nothing to Declare or Border Control, Australia is by far one of the most difficult places to get goods into. Not so much in terms of actually the process, but all you need to do is make sure that you do your preparation long beforehand, and you shouldn't pick up any problems once the goods arrive in Australia. I don't know if you may be aware, but the UK is classed as a high-risk country, and that's mainly thanks to foot and mouth, mad cow disease, and all the other little germs flying around in the UK. And Australia, obviously, with the agriculture and the farming communities out there, they want to make sure that they don't have any of those foreign diseases that may be brought across from the UK. So ensuring things such as bicycles thoroughly clean, turning them upside down, cleaning on the inside of the seat, making sure garden furniture is thoroughly clean, turn them upside down, get rid of cobwebs. What they're looking for is foreign seeds and soil. So as long as you do the preparation beforehand, when we come around, we have what we call a mass spray that we will spray the furniture. It's the same substance that was used during the foot and mouth epidemic, just to assist you in getting those items cleaned and getting them obviously into Australia. What we would also recommend is prior to us coming around, is actually select a room and put away all the items that may be going with on the plane. The last thing you want is us to pack important documentation, the container departs, and we've actually packed an envelope with your passport. So we would recommend choosing a room, isolating all your items that are going with you on the plane, and it saves us having to worry about taking items that should not have been taken. Being members of the BAR, all our material is supplied through them, a lot more sturdier than your normal average cardboard box. The grade is a lot thicker, and the guys that come around are all employed by ourselves and obviously are fully trained in international export and packing. As you can see, a lot of detail goes into place. I think they're about the best when it comes to actually wrapping presents, right down to your glassware, your china, your crockery. And if you notice the slide, the bottom right-hand corner, even your dining room table, we'll put corrugated cardboard. So if anything leans against it, you don't get little pressure marks. Each plate's individually wrapped, packed upright with tissue paper. So certainly, when choosing your preferred company, you want to make sure that the packers that come around are certainly fully trained in export wrapping and using the correct material. There are certain items that we're quite insistent on in building wooden crates, and that would be items such as grandfather clocks, pianos. We'd also recommend that all flat screen TVs are crated if you don't have the original box. The reason for that is the slightest knock can damage the pixels, and it put your mind at ease knowing that it is in a wooden crate, and all our crates are stamped and signed by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, obviously to allow that timber to actually be custom cleared. We do try to get everybody involved, and that's right down to the children. It's a big step for them, so our packers will give them a couple of boxes so they can feel like they're part of the whole process. Now, there's a couple of services that we do offer in sending effects abroad. If you're looking at a 3-bedroom place, you're then be more than likely looking at your own dedicated 20-foot container. A 20-foot container is 20 foot by 8 foot by 8 foot, and it holds the same volume as a UK single garage, and we comfortably fit the contents of a 3-bedroom place into that 20-foot container. What we would do is we'll come around day 1, wrap everything up. Day 2, you'll see the container pull up outside. We generally get around about 4 to 5 hours to get to load that container. And the great thing is once it's all packed up, it's sealed in front of you and then obviously gets sent out to the closest docks. You may find that you don't have enough for a full container load. You may only have selected items. Again, not a problem. We'll come around, pack up all those items. The only difference is as opposed to the container being loaded outside your residence, it will be brought back to our depot and then go as a shared container or part thereof. We're one of the only companies in the UK that still actually load vehicles at your residence. So you may have a 3-bedroom, the contents of a 3-bedroom place, plus a vehicle. So what we would do is we'll quote you on the effects going by themselves, the car going by itself, or the more cost-effective ways, a 40-foot container, put in all the household effects, build the drywall, and we just load the vehicle on the back end. Just keeping in mind with regards to vehicles, and the reason why I'd like to spend a bit of time on vehicles is that virtually all our clients ask about sending vehicles through to Australia. What we would recommend is the first thing is to go onto redbook.co.au and actually put in the make and model and give you an indication of what that vehicle costs currently in Australia. In terms of duty and GST, you would be looking at 5% duty and 10% GST. And that will be based on the value of the vehicle at which you purchased it at. If you are not sure, then when it arrives out there, Australian Customs will then get their own valuation based on that vehicle. So it's best to do your homework beforehand. You would need to apply for an import permit, which you can do online. It takes about a month to actually get the whole lot processed, and it costs you, set yourself back around about $50. A couple of years ago, the maritime law changed with regards to motor vehicles. We now have to disconnect the battery and the vehicle needs to be virtually empty. And we would obviously run through this whole process. At the end of the presentation, there will be documents to download. And if you have any questions, obviously you're more than welcome to give us a call with regards to motor vehicles. Like I said, what would happen is once it's all sealed in front of you, it's all closed, you get a reference number, you get the inventory, and then it's taken down to the docks and gets on the next available container. As previously mentioned, if you don't have a full container load, it will come back through to our depot, and that your consignment will be then loaded with another family load, and then the same process runs all over again from our depot going down to the docks. In terms of cost, you'll be quite pleasantly surprised how the actual cost of a container has actually dropped quite drastically over the last 10 years. I mean, certainly to most major ports, whether it be Brisbane, Fremantle, Adelaide, you're going to be looking at around, for a 20-foot container, I would budget on around about the £4,000 mark. Share container, half a container, in other words, half a garage load of gear, you would be, I'd say, budgeting on around about £2,800. And if you even only got 1 or 2 boxes, 3 boxes, we've got a special on at the moment, you'll be looking at 2 boxes at £120, and we'll give you the third box free of charge, and then £30 a box thereafter. That slightly different service goes more into our backpacking service. We drop off the boxes, you pack them up, give us a shout, and we get them on their way. We also have options of air freight going through to Australia if you need those urgent tools out there. So whatever you're sending, PSS are able to assist you in getting your effects out there. If you have got a motor vehicle in a 40-foot container with your household effects, I would budget on anything between £6,000 to £6,500. It does vary dependent on how much of that 40-foot container you may have in terms of effects going out there, whether you need additional crating. And on some occasions, we may need to even get hoists outside the house because we can't get furniture down the stairs. So it's certainly worthwhile, like I just reiterate, about getting us to come around to the house rather sooner than later. Now, for the more interesting part, is obviously the transit times. A lot of clients look at that slide and they say, John, please make sure my container is not on the top right-hand corner. You'll be pleased to know that also a lot of those containers are actually empty. Most of the containers are in the hull of the ship. We are members of what we call the MTC, so we can only use certain shipping lines, be it Maersk, Mediterranean Shipping Company, NYK. And generally speaking, on the water itself, you're looking at anything between 35 to 40 days. There is no fast sailing ship. They're all around about the same time. But I would certainly plan on a full container load, anything between 6 to 8 weeks. That's to port, allowing a couple of days for clearance on the other end. Share container, add a couple of weeks on top of that. I would say anything up to 8 to 10. And if you just got a couple of boxes, could be anything up to 12 weeks. So certainly have a chat with us and we'll certainly be able to give you the time frames on that. With regards to customs, Australian customs look at it two ways. You either got your prohibited, which is self-explanatory, no fauna and flora, no consumables of any kind, but also on the restricted articles that where the lines do get a bit fuzzy. I would say things such as wicker, cane, bamboo. Wicker because of the way it's been woven, they're worried about dust mite. And generally speaking, when you walk around the house, you'd be surprised how many little wicker baskets may be laying around the house. What we would suggest, if you insisted on taking these items, that we put into one box, knowing that you're going to pay around about 45 Australian dollars to have that box fumigated. Things such as alcohol, I always suggest just drinking it all. They charge you way too much duty, and you more than likely find that your wine will turn into vinegar by the time it arrives out there. We would do all the customs clearance on your behalf. Unfortunately, there is one cost on the other end, and that's called a AQUIS fee, the Australian Quarantine Inspection Services, which is payable in Australia. Basically, you are paying customs to actually do that inspection. Years ago, the odd client got away with it, but virtually every single client is now paying for that fee. As long as you follow the set guidelines that we run through with you, you're not going to be picking up any issues with regards to any additional charges. With regards to the motor vehicle, no matter how clean that vehicle is, I would suggest that you still get it clean, but once it arrives in Australia, you're still going to be looking at $450, $500 to have that vehicle re-cleaned. Storage, we will happily give our clients 4 weeks free storage in Australia. As being a lot of you being a first-time migrant, what we realise, obviously, you're going to be going into short-term rented accommodation, and that extra 4 weeks does come in handy. You wouldn't also maybe say to them, look, guys, don't pack everything, or don't bring everything to my house, but I would like items number being X, Y, and Z, allowing you to get started. You may need the Xbox, you may need the TV. Just going on a couple of items with regards to whether electricity works, what items do work, is it worthwhile taking my TV? I would suggest do some virtual shopping long beforehand. The biggest criteria with Australia is that you need to have owned and used the items for a period of 12 months. So those right at the beginning of the process, go do some virtual shopping. Things such as front-loading washing machines, ridiculously expensive in Australia. As you all may know, that a lot of people in Australia still like to use the top-loading machine, washing machine, and you would be saving yourself around about $200 going out and taking your new washing machine that you do have at home, even if it lasts a year, it's done its job. The voltage is all the same. Yes, they use different plugs out in Australia. Australia is really strict for household insurance. They want to make sure that the plugs are changed by a qualified electrician. Reason for that, God forbid anything happen, if a fire is caused through a faulty plug socket, and if it's found that you had changed those plugs yourself, obviously the insurance is not going to pay out. With regards to TVs, those who have been out to Australia, their normal terrestrial TV isn't that great. I would say even worse than the UK. Unless some of you enjoy watching Home and Away for the rest of your life, I would suggest you get Foxtel. And even though your UK TV may not pick up the same frequency, all you do is you plug it through the SCART socket and you're able to pick up the Australian free channels that are available out there. IKEA furniture, personally, I would say don't take it. Even though because as you can appreciate, once you take those items apart, you don't have the diagrams. The packers on the other end wouldn't know how to put it back together. But like I said, this is that time where we spend that good quality time with you, going through your definite list, your maybe list. So the only thing, once again, I would reiterate is making sure that we do come around rather sooner than later. PSS have now, like I said, been trading for over 30 years. We specialize in moving items through to Australia. We work with a number of partners who refer us in getting effects through to Australia, and more than happy if you need any assistance on any other aspects of your migration, please certainly give me a call. I'm more than happy to help you. If you do have any further questions, please go through the whole process with us. I've got a couple of staff who are going to be here who'll be more than happy to assist you. Just a little slide there, just a couple of items to remember, and hopefully we get to speak to you very soon. Thank you for your time.